أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الصلاة والسلام على محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. We've been looking at stories, and if you remember, I told you to remember 5 words from Surah Yusuf. Do you remember them? That was from the 3rd ayah. نحن نقص عليك أحسن القصص. Those 5 words. Now remember those, because when we talk about the story today, we're going to talk about an exceptional story as well. But before we start, we're going to recite the surah of the Quran, Amarthiya, and then we'll go into our talk. So let's recite the surah, and I think today we will recite Surah Al-Kafirun. Are you good with that? Alright, recite it with me. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل يا أيها الكافرون لا أعبد ما تعبدون ولا أنتم عابدون ما أعبد ولا أنا عابد ما عبدتم ولا أنتم عابدون ما أعبد لكم دينكم ولي دين. صدق الله العلي العظيم وصدق الرسول الكريم ونحن على ذلك من الشاهدين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. We're not going to recite a Marthiya. I'm just going to find my Marthiya book. And today I've picked the Marthiya, and you'll see why. So it's the 3rd one. Number 3 on page 4, do you know who I am? So please recite it with me. Do you know who I am, O army of Yazid? Do you know who I am, O army of Yazid? I'm Hussein ibn Ali, Hussein ibn Ali. Am I not the son of the daughter of your prophet? Am I not the son of his successor Ali? Is not Hamza the uncle of my father? O army of Yazid, don't you know who I am? O army of Yazid, don't you know who I am? I'm Hussein ibn Ali, Hussein ibn Ali. Why do you want to shed my blood? Have I changed Islam, or have I killed anyone? Have I destroyed any wealth of one amongst you? O army of Yazid, don't you know who I am? O army of Yazid, don't you know who I am? I'm Hussein ibn Ali, Hussein ibn Ali. If you have no religion or fear of Qiyamah, then at least be free in your thinking as men. Don't give in to the orders of tyrant rulers. O army of Yazid, don't you know who I am? O army of Yazid, don't you know who I am? I'm Hussein ibn Ali, Hussein ibn Ali. The army replied, we don't know of what you say. You have not done any wrong to us. All we want from you is bay'at to Yazid. O army of Yazid, don't you know who he is? O army of Yazid, don't you know who he is? He's Hussein ibn Ali, Hussein ibn Ali. That said Hussein, I will never ever do. I will not give my hand in bay'at to him, nor will I run away like a slave. O army of Yazid, don't you know who I am? O army of Yazid, don't you know who I am? I'm Hussein ibn Ali, Hussein ibn Ali. We have salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajahum. So at the beginning I told you that the 5 words that you will remember is نحن نقص عليك أحسن القصص. We tell you a story, we relate to you of the best of stories. Now, it is a generational story, a story that is passed down from generation to generation to generation, just like the story of Karbala. So today, we're going to go and talk about the story of Karbala. And I need you to listen to it again and again and again, because you will, inshallah, you will hear it for the rest of your life. And that's a story that has so many lessons, just like the lessons we had from Prophet Yusuf. We heard about so much. There was jealousy, there was wrongful accusation, there was kidnapping by his own brothers. You had so much going on. But he trusted in Allah. He did his best. And at the end of the day, he said, I trust in Allah. And whenever he did du'as, remember, he did du'as asking the wasila of Muhammad, Ali, Fatima, Hassan and Hussein. Now, the idea from that story was you do your best and then you hand it over to Allah, and there's always good. Remember, we started with the dream of the 11 stars and the moon and the sun, and we ended with that dream coming into reality. But it was after a whole lot of hardships. So we're going to now talk about the day of Ashura. I'd like you to listen to this, because this is a story you will either read or listen to again tomorrow. So now we come to the night of Ashura. Today is the night of Ashura. And it was on the 9th of Muharram that Yazid's army, led by Umar ibn Sa'd, said, we want to fight today. And Imam sends Hazrat Abbas and he says, please ask them, we need one more night. And that night we want to spend talking to Allah, because Imam said, and you see it on your screen at the top left hand corner, Imam said, Ana uhibbu salah, I love salah, wa tilawati kitabihi, and I love to recite his book, wa kathratu du'a, and I love lots of dua, I love talking to Allah, wal istighfar, and I love to ask for forgiveness, I love to ask for protection. And when the army of Yazid, even some of the soldiers, they heard that night all this that was happening in the tents of Imam Hussein, many just crossed over and came over there. Now we're going to talk about the day of Ashura, and I'd like you to listen very, very carefully. The morning of Ashura dawned. The children hadn't slept very well. They were really thirsty. When you're thirsty and hungry, it's really hard to sleep. And they kept on saying, Al-Atash, Al-Atash. We are so thirsty. So thirsty. The thirst is killing us. It's like thorns in our throats. Ali Akbar gave the adhan for Fajr, and Imam Hussein led the prayers for Fajr. It was early morning. And before the beginning of any battle, Imam Hussein got on a camel and he gave a talk to the army of Yazid. Now you'll know why I recited that martiya. He said, do you know who I am? Am I not the grandson of your prophet? Am I not the son of Ali? Is Hamza not the uncle of my father? Why do you want to shed my blood? Why do you want to kill us? Have I killed anyone from you? Have I destroyed any wealth from one amongst you? Have I hurt anyone from you? Some of the soldiers from Yazid's army just listened to him and they said, look, we don't know anything. We don't know. We know you've done nothing like that. All we want from you is bay'at to Yazid. You know what bay'at means? It means we want you to promise to follow and obey Yazid as your ruler. Imam said, by Allah, I will not give my hand in bay'at. I cannot promise to follow and obey a person like him, like a humiliated person. I can't do that, and I will not run away as well. Yazid was a very clever poet. He was one of the best poets in Arabia. But Imam called him Rajulun Fasiq. That means a man who openly disobeyed Allah. Not only did he disobey Allah, he invited people to do what he did. He used to say, there is no revelation, there was no Jibreel, there was no Quran. This is all a pretense by the Banu Hashim to get power. He just saw it as a power struggle. He killed people. He made fun of namaz. He made fun of salah. He tried to control people. He bullied them. He exploited them. He was awful to human beings. So Imam said, I'm not going to do that. And then there was a man called Zuhair ibn al-Qayn. He was Imam's companion. He was from Kufa. He was a really important person. He was an elder from Kufa. And many people in the army of Yazid were from Kufa. And he came out and he tried to explain to them. But you know what? They booed him and they heckled him. And they didn't want to listen to him. It was at this time that Hur changed sides, because he heard the children crying, Al-Atash, Al-Atash. And then on the other side, he could see his people. He was a general in the army. He could see his soldiers putting water on the hooves of the horses. And he could hear them heckle. That means boo people like Imam Hussein and Zuhair ibn al-Qayn. He couldn't take it at all. So he changed sides, and we talked about it. And then, mid-morning, Umar Sa'ad fired the first arrow. And he told his army, bear witness, tell everyone that I was the first to start the battle. His men then did exactly what he did. And a shower of arrows came towards Imam and their companions. And Imam told them, these are the letters of the people to you. Imam prepared for battle. Now he made 3 groups. There was a group on the left, a group in the middle, and a group on the right. There were a small band of people, and across them there were 30,000 soldiers, some say. Amongst these soldiers, there were 130 who were Hafiz the Quran. They'd memorized the Quran, but they had learnt nothing from the Quran. There were 130 companions of the Prophet, but they obviously had learnt nothing from the Prophet. The left side, he put Habib ibn Mazahir in charge. The right side, he put Zuhair ibn al-Qayn. And the middle, the main middle side, there were Imam's family over there. Now it was Arab custom that they would have single combat first. But then Yazid's army just went into a general attack. When the dust settled, so many of Imam's companions had been killed. And you can imagine, this is the time when it's very near Dhuhr Salah. And during that time, Abu Thamama said, Yabna Rasulullah, look at the sun. It's time for Salah. And Imam said, even at this time you remembered. And he said, may Allah place you amongst those who pray. And Habib went out to them. Habib ibn Mazahir, he was an amazing man. You know, he was one of the most intelligent, greatest men of Kufa. And he went to tell them, just give us a little bit of time to pray. And Hussein ibn Namir said, you mean your namaz is going to be accepted? Your salah is going to be accepted? Pray as many salah as you want, not going to be accepted. And Habib told him, are you telling me that your salah is accepted and the salah of the son of the Prophet is not accepted? Habib was killed whilst Imam was praying. And a prayer when you're in trouble, when you're in the middle of a battle, is known as Salatul Khawf, the prayer of fear. Well, Zuhair ibn al-Qayn and Sa'id ibn Abdullah were like human shields whilst Imam prayed. And when they finished praying, 23 companions were wounded. Can you imagine? These were Muslims on the other side, but they wouldn't even allow anyone to pray. What happened? What happened to their hearts? Why couldn't they understand? Even when we do something wrong, we know it's wrong. Why do we do what's wrong? You know, Rumi says a wonderful poem. He says, everybody has a Hussein within them. This is what he means. And he said, everybody has a Yazid and a Shimr inside them. And then we have desires inside us. And he calls them pigs and dogs. And he says, rather than killing the pigs and dogs, we kill our Husseins. So next now, you had Imams after Salatul Dhuhr. You had Imams' companions and family members. So they go to the battlefield. And we've talked about them throughout these days. One at a time, they all go. They're surrounded. Nobody was being fair to them, and they're killed. Finally, Imam is alone, and he stands on the plains of Karbala, and he looks at all his companions and all his family members, and he says, Hal min nasiri yansurna, hal min mughithi yughithuna. Is there anyone to help us? Is there anyone to rescue us? From the tents, there was a sound of crying. Imam went in, and it was Rabab, and she was crying, and Imam said, Rabab, I'm still here. She says, look what the baby's done, the 6-month-old baby. He had no strength, he had no milk, he had no water, but he threw himself out of the cradle when he heard his Baba say, is there anybody to help us? Imam picked him up, covered him with his cloak, and said, Rabab, I will take him to the army. Maybe somebody will give him a little bit of water. Imam takes this baby, and the people in the army say, Hussein is bringing the Quran. When Imam stands in front of them, he removes his cloak, and they see a little baby. And Imam said, if I've done anything wrong, then this baby has done no wrong to you. Please give this baby some water. Some of the people in the army, they were dads, and they had a heart like everybody does, and they just thought, we better go and get some water. So they were going towards the Furat, towards the river, to get some water. At that time, Omar Saad tells Hurmala was the person who was really good at shooting arrows. He told him, Iqtal qalam al-Hussein, kill the words of Hussein. Hurmala picks up this massive arrow that probably weighed more than the baby, and it dropped on the ground. And Omar Saad said, are you scared? He said, look at the tent. The mama is standing there. She's watching. When the door of the tent closed, he fired his arrow. The baby was pinned to his Baba's arm. Imam was trying to take the baby back. And he went one time, came back, second time, 7 times he went back and forth, and he kept on saying, Ridam bi qadaihi wa tasliman li amri. He said, Ya Allah, I am at peace with what you have decreed, and I am also at peace with what you have ordered. In other words, he said, I'm doing my best, and I'm leaving this all up to you. Took the baby back to his mom, and mom said, Asghar, do they kill children like you? If I knew, I'd have dressed you up as a soldier. Dad made a little grave. Mom put baby in the grave. Dad closed the grave. Mom said, I don't have any water, so I'm going to cry my tears, and those tears will wet your grave. Imam then came to the tents, and he said, Ya Zainab, Ya Kulthum, Ya Rabab, alaykunna minna salam. He said, O Zainab, O Kulthum, O Rabab, I send my salams to you. Now the tents were all joined to each other. There were about 7 tents all joined to each other. Imam entered the tents. Sayyidah Zainab took his hand and took him to see Imam Sajjad. Remember, Imam Zainul Abidin was really ill. He had such a high temperature, he couldn't even open his eyes. Some say it was because he was trying to dig wells during that time with his hands under the hot sun, and he got a really bad fever. And he says, suddenly I saw a white figure enter covered in blood, and I heard my father's voice, and my father said, Fi amanillah. He said, I asked my father, where are you going? And I said, Aina Habib? Where is Habib? And he said, Ya Bunayya, qad qutil, he has been killed. Aina Abbas, Aina Ali Akbar? He said, I asked about everyone. And my father said, my son, from men it is only you and me. And then he told him, memorize the dua that was taught by Rasulullah to me. Whenever you are in need, whenever you are sad, whenever you are in difficulty, recite this dua. He tells his son, can you imagine? It is a dua taught. It is a gift from Imam Hussein to us on the day of Ashura. Now, we've got it on the website. It's got qfatima.com. Go to the website. It's on What's New. It's also on the Muharram resources. I'm going to recite it and you're going to recite it with me, okay? So we're going to recite it and we're going to ask our duas. First, we're going to pray for all those who are ill with this awful virus or any other illness. Those who are oppressed. There's so many people who are homeless in Beirut. There are so many people who are suffering in Yemen. So many, my goodness. Palestine, oh my goodness, all over the world. There is difficulty. So we're going to pray for them. So you will recite after me. Okay. بحق ياسين. Can you say that with me? بحق ياسين والقرآن الحكيم. Okay, which means I ask you in the name of Yasin, which is the name of the Prophet, and I ask you in the name of the Quran that is full of wisdom. وَبِحَقِّ طَاهَا, and I ask you in the name of Taha, وَالْقُرْآنِ الْعَظِيمِ, and the great Quran. يَا مَنْ يَقْدِرُ عَلَى حَوَائِجِ السَّائِلِينَ. Did you say that? يا من يقدر على حوائج السائلين. Oh, the one who knows exactly what I'm asking, one who personalizes. He knows what I want. يا من يعلم ما في الضمير. Can you say that? يا من يعلم ما في الضمير. Oh, the one who knows my innermost desires, my inside what I want. يا منفس عن المقروبين. Oh, the one who blows away difficulties. You imagine like a wind, he just takes them away. يا مفرج عن المغمومين. Oh, the one who takes away sadness. يا راحم الشيخ الكبير. Oh, the one who is compassionate, who is merciful on the old. يا رازق الطفل الصغير. Oh, the one who provides for little ones. And my favorite line, يا من يحتاج إلى التفسير. Oh, the one who doesn't need any explanation. صلي على محمد وآل محمد. Send your blessings on Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. Now ask for your hajat. And like I said, first pray for all those who are ill, those who are oppressed, those who are in need, and then ask for yourself. Okay, then look at what Imam tells him. Then Imam says, convey my greetings to my Shias. Tell them that your father died in a foreign land. He died thirsty. Weep for us. And when you drink water, send your salams on your thirsty Imam. So every time you see water, Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. You're going to drink water during the day. Every time you drink water, energize the water. Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. And then Sayyida Zainab hugged him and kissed him. And she kissed his neck because her mom had told her, Zainab, when you come to the land of Karbala, remember, kiss my Hussein's neck. In a corner of the tent, there was Fizza. She was crying. She said, this is the Hussein whose cradle I rocked. I remember a child who used to cry and he sounded like Hussein, and Rasulullah used to say, please stop that child crying because I can't bear anybody crying who sounds like Hussein. Imam came up to her and said, Fizza, you're a Hassan, I owe you so much. Imam walked out. All the women and children were really crying. They knew they wouldn't see him again. When he got to the horse, Zuljana, Sayyida Zainab held on to the reins of the horse. Imam Hussein mounted the horse. She was crying. She went in, but Zuljana wouldn't move. He refused to move. Imam looked down and there was a 4-year-old girl holding on to the legs of Zuljana, and she said, Zuljana, don't take my Baba away, because whoever you took to the battlefield doesn't come back. Imam got off the horse He took Sakina in his arms and he said, Sakina, I have to go, you know that. She said, I know, but I need to ask you a few questions. She said, first, in the Quran, Allah says, لِلرِّجَالِ نَصِيبٌ مِمَّا اكْتَسَبُوا. Men get what they earn. وَالنِّسَاءِ مِمَّا اكْتَسَبُوا. And women get what they earn. Those men who went out there to fight, they've got their Jannah because they gave their lives for the truth. What about me? And Imam says, Sakina, you're going to become an orphan and you will stand for the rights of orphans. And then she said, where am I going to sleep when you go? I used to sleep on your chest all night. He said, Sakina, you will sleep with your mama, Sakina. Don't look at me like that, he said. I'm a dad. Don't look at me like that. Sakina goes. So Imam is all alone. He is surrounded by the soldiers. First there was one-to-one combat, but then they started surrounding him. They directed their arrows and their spears and their stones at him. No place on his body was left. They just threw things at him. He fought bravely, but then he fell off the horse and he was in sajda. The younger son of Imam Hassan, called Abdullah, ran towards him. He kept on saying, don't kill my uncle, don't hurt my uncle. But Hormala killed him too. Imam's final words were, Ya Allah, I left the world for your love, even if they cut me up into 1,000 pieces. My heart would not incline to anyone but you. It was Shimr who then killed Imam Hussein. When the horse came back, riderless, Zuljanah came back. Sakina said, have you left my dad on the sand of Karbala? To say the Zainab, she said, did they give my dad any water? Did they do that? There was a sound that said, Qad qutila al-Hussein bi Karbala. Hussein has been killed in Karbala. The day of Ashura is a day when we learn that we need to really think about the oppressed and about oppression. Now we might think it's only what people who are mean like Yazid do, but we have to make a promise that we will try hard never to bully anyone, never to be unfair, never to be unjust to anyone, to try hard not to waste water, to be able to help those who are in need. If we can't do anything, then to at least pray for them. So I've written a list of things on the screen. Maybe you could go over them. Tomorrow, lots of Surah Al-Ikhlas, lots of Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. Recite the dua that I told you. You can download it from the website. Read and listen to the story of Ashura. Think about all those people that you may not have heard about. Now I know we can't go to the mosque, but at least you can read about them. There were so many companions that we don't even think about sometimes. For example, I'll give you some of them, and I've talked about them before, but very briefly. Say Nafi bin Hilal, he said, we will love those who love you. There was Al-Sam bin Amr. He was Imam's scribe. That means he wrote for Imam. And he said, who is more blessed than me? For the son of the Prophet put his face next to me. There was Hajjaj ibn Masruq. He was the mu'adhin like Bilal. So he was the mu'adhin in Karbala. There was Hafhaf bin Muhammad. You can't forget his name. Isn't it a beautiful name? He got to Karbala on the day after Ashura. Where's Hussein? He said. And they said, we've killed him. So he attacked the soldiers and they killed him. There was Abis and Shawzab. Remember the words of Abis? Hubb al-Hussein ajunnani. The love of Hussein has made me mad. There was John bin Huway, the slave of Imam Ali and Abu Dhar Ghifari. Spoke very little, but stood and protected Imam. He stood with his hands folded. And when he was killed, there was amazing fragrance coming from his body. There was Burair Hamadani who brought water, but it spilled. And Imam said, the son of Fatima, you have earned the du'as of the son of Fatima. There was Anas bin Harith, 90, but he still came. Belt round his back, a belt round his head. And he said, now Hussein, will you let me fight? There was Saif and Shabib. They were known as the crying cousins. Why are you crying? Imam said. They said, we're crying because we look at all these Muslims. They call themselves Muslims and they're surrounding you. They want to kill you. There was Yazid bin Ziyad Muhasir. He was known as Abu Sha'sa. He was searching for Imam. When he saw Imam, tears of joy came down. He refused to leave Imam. He just stuck with Imam. So these are some of the companions I've mentioned. Use tomorrow to read about them, to find out about them. May Allah grant us all the tawfiq to be able to be Hussainis, to love salah, to love reciting his book, to do lots of du'as, and to do istighfar. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم. Right, let's recite a Noha, and because today we remember Ali al-Asghar, let's recite a Noha that is attached to him. And I know you like oh my Asghar, but I'm going to do the desert is so quiet today. Okay, let's do Matam. Get your right hand and do Matam with me. The desert is so quiet, there's a deathly calm. The night is so dark, don't be scared, Asghar. I hear that they gave you an arrow when all you asked for was some water. Oh, Asghar, you were bathed in blood. Oh, Asghar, you were bathed in blood. The night is so dark, don't be scared, Asghar. The desert is so quiet, there's a deathly calm. The night is so dark, don't be scared, Asghar. I only want to ask one question. To the waters of River Furat, couldn't you spare some water for my son? Couldn't you spare some water for my son? The night is so dark, don't be scared, Asghar. The desert is so quiet, there's a deathly calm. The night is so dark, don't be scared, Asghar. Come, let me change your blood-soaked clothes. Let me cradle you in my arms. What did they do to my mujahid? What did they do to my mujahid? The night is so dark, don't be scared, Asghar. The desert is so quiet, there's a deathly calm. The night is so dark, don't be scared, Asghar. I see your radiant face, the thirst on your lips. I couldn't even give you any milk all my life. I'll never forget all my life. I'll never forget. The night is so dark, don't be scared, Asghar. The desert is so quiet, there's a deathly calm. The night is so dark, don't be scared, Asghar. Oh Muslims, when you see infants being killed and denied water, remember my Asghar, go to their aid. Remember my Asghar, go to their aid. The night is so dark, don't be scared, Asghar. The desert is so quiet, there's a deathly calm. The night is so dark, don't be scared, Asghar. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. We're going to recite the dua for protection. We're going to recite Surah Al-Fatiha in the other order, and we're going to recite the ziyarah of Abu Abdullah. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. Close your eyes. Ask Allah to give the thawab to all the marhumin, especially those of your family. Pray for those who are ill and those who are in trouble. لي خمسة أطفي بها حر الوباء الحاتمة، المصطفى والمرتضى وأبناهما والفاطمة. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك، عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار، ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. I will now see you on Thursday, inshallah. Please make the most of tomorrow. Remember Imam Hussein loads and try and keep your handkerchief with you. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم. في أمان الله كريم.